Welcome back here on Spotlight. Let's take a look at the eliminated NFC teams. And we're here back with Rand to shed some light on how to fix those teams. And here they are, the Vikings, the Lions, all 9-8. Then you got the Bucs, the Falcons, the Cowboys. And then on the other side here, the sadder side, we got the Saints, the Commanders, the Giants, and those Cardinals, just 3-14. All right, now we're going to welcome Rand back in and see how he can shed some light on how to fix these teams. We're going to start with the Arizona Cardinals. Jonathan Gannon was just fired today, so that's very interesting. And then also the Kyler Murray situation is interesting. Do you think we've seen his last snap in Glendale, Arizona? Yeah, absolutely. I think so. And it was part of the reason why I thought Jonathan Gannon would be retained as the head coach, because when he was hired, him and GM Monty Ossenfort, they inherited not only Kyler Murray, the player, but his contract extension that he received from the previous regime. So I thought for that reason alone that they would be allowed to handpick their starting quarterback. But obviously the organization and the owner, Michael Bidwell, saw different. And so now Jonathan Gannon is out. But the question still lingers as to who's going to be the starting quarterback for them next year. And I think they have to answer that question. Now, here's where it gets tricky. They have the number 3 pick in the draft. So now it's like, okay, the two teams above them, the Raiders and the Jets, they both need quarterback as well. So they're not going to move on. Those that go into silver and black.
They're not going to move on from there. But then what does the veteran market offer you if there's not going to be a quarterback for you there at 3 or possibly at the top of the second? Their GM, Monty Ossenfort, comes from a college background. He believes in building through the draft. So we'll see if he maneuvers himself around from that 3rd pick, maybe even move back and pick up some extra picks and be able to get a quarterback later if there's another quarterback even worthy of that pick. But then again, who's going to be out there as a free agent that if you're Monty Ossenfort, probably with the understanding of, I could be working my last year in this job if I don't get this position right. So it's going to be a big question for them. And also, we're saying they're moving on from Kyler Murray.
Yeah.
But you have to find a team that is willing to take on that number, and Kyler Murray has to be willing to go to that team and be willing to renegotiate his current contract, which I think does not feature any guaranteed money at this point.
I'm going to say I could see him in with the Dolphins with Mike McDaniel. I think that could be an interesting place for him. Let's move on to the Giants here. They fired their head coach. The GM is still intact. Seems like they've got their answer at quarterback if he can protect himself. What do they got to fix here?
They got to find a head coach.
Well,
they got to find a head coach, and I say, and I know again that could be low-hanging fruit, but you answered that question, and the rest of the picture comes to fruition because you have your quarterback, you have a really good defense. This job here could be the best job.
Really?
And arguably, this job or the Atlanta job could be the 2 favorite jobs if you want to take on the team and have some instant success. You have an elite number 1 wide receiver that you're getting back healthy. You have a defense that has all the makings to be a really good defense, provided you have the right structure there. The Giants' number 1 thing right now should be finding who this head coach is going to be and help this head coach build a really strong staff so you can take advantage of some of this talent that Joe Schoen has been able to acquire.
Yeah, I agree. They're probably just one good head coach away from at least contending in their division. Speaking of people that are supposed to contend in this division, the Washington Commanders ended up going just 5-12. Jaden Daniels, of course, limited for most of this season. What do they got to do?
They got to find an edge rusher. And they've tried a multitude of ways. They went out, they signed Cleveland Farrell at one point. You bring in Von Miller. You use Frankie Louvu in that chess piece type of role. But I think to make a Dan Quinn defense role, you have to be able to go out and find the pass rusher, the guy that's going to bring the ruckus off the edge. Now, here's the trick. Dan Quinn took over play calling from his defensive coordinator. So I don't know where we're going to see that go in the next couple of days because at this point, I don't think you can go back to the defensive coordinator. So we'll see if they actually move on or if Dan Quinn just continues to call the defense himself. But I still think it starts with them being able to find an edge rusher, whether that's in free agency or via the draft, or possibly both.
Or possibly both. All right, let's head to the NFC South here. Looking at the New Orleans Saints. Ended the season 6-11, only 2 games behind everyone else in their division. They showed some real fight in the end there. Quarterback Tyler Shuck, what do you think?
You just got to build around this guy.
Yeah.
You got to build around this guy. And, you know, when he was taken 40th overall, there were some questions and some concerns, you know, from myself and a ton of people out there, us us draft gurus, if you will. But this young man mixed in with his head coach. It just worked. It worked well together. He gave them a fighting chance every week and had some impressive victories. That throw down the sideline with the one-handed catch, that ball was money. That was an NFL caliber throw. And again, he's 26 years old. I think he'll be 27 in August or September. There's a certain maturation there for him that you won't see out of a normal 21, 22-year-old starting quarterback. Now that you have him, and you have Talise Fuaga that you drafted 2 years ago at your right tackle. You have Kelvin Banks Jr. is going to be a Pro Bowl caliber left tackle. Now you have to continue to add pieces on that offense to build around him. And then on the flip side, I'll sneak an extra one in there. You have a veteran aging defense. Right, you lost Tyrann Mathieu to start the season. He retired. Demario Davis, although he said he wants to play another year, he's 36, 37 years old. Cam Jordan is up there in age. So not only do you have to build around Tyler Shuck, you have to add those added pieces to replace some of those older veterans that you're probably going to be losing.
Well, and how much longer is Kamara gonna play in this as well?
Listen, that guy is a freak of nature,
So
just in terms of how he takes care of his body and the way he plays the game. He could play another year, could play another 2 years, but he has so many cool and unique things that he's doing off the field. He has his job with NASCAR. It could take him any way he wants to go, but I would bet we'd probably see Alvin Kamara for another year.
I'll never forget that 6-touchdown game. All right, moving on to the Cowboys here. Yet another year of wasted elite play from Dak Prescott.
Yeah, you just got to build a defense.
Yeah.
It doesn't get any simpler than that. Your offense can score points with the best of them. Now you just have to be able to stop them. They made moves via trades. Now let's see with those draft picks that you've been able to acquire. Let's see if you can build that defense.
All right, Atlanta Falcons finished 8-9. Kirk Cousins opened up this offense, got a little frisky there in the end. Is this the same coach and quarterback that we're going to see moving forward here with Morrison Penix?
No, I think that's the big thing. Your head coach now has to make a decision on where you see Michael Penix. And it gives you a fresh look because this head coach wouldn't have drafted Michael Penix. And so let's hire the head coach and let's see what the game plan is. Again, I mentioned this job and the Giants job will be two of the more attractive jobs. This team has Pro Bowl caliber talent on both sides of the ball, and they should be competing for a division championship. You just got to find the right head coach.
All right, let's talk about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They were frisky in the first half of the season. No one was better at the 2-minute drill than Baker Mayfield, but things fell apart in the latter part of the season.
You got to find pass rush. That was their one Achilles heel on defense. Now, they had other problems and other issues, and I'm so glad that Jack's not producing this segment. It would be all in my ear right now. But they have not been able to effectively get to the quarterback and rush the passer off the edge, and they've tried a multitude of ways of trying to address that, whether it's bringing in free agents like Hassan Reddick. They've drafted guys like Yaya Diaby, and Yaya Diaby played fairly well this year, but you have to be able to find someone off the edge that can generate some pass rush.
All right, so we got to go rapid fire here with the Lions and the Minnesota Vikings. What do you think?
For the Vikings, you got to find that offensive coordinator. Johnny Morton, it didn't seem to just work, which led to Dan Campbell taking over the play calling. Dan Campbell needs to get back to being the CEO of this football team and find an offensive coordinator. And then if you're the Minnesota Vikings, you gotta lock up. You got to lock up Brian Flores. Now his name will be on some of these head coaching lists, and he'll get an opportunity. And I think there's a job in particular he may be favored for. But if he's not going to be a head coach, you have to lock him up and continue to allow him to run your defense, because that defense has played pretty well throughout his tenure.
It's too late to get Sam Darnold back, but you don't want to get rid of your defensive coordinator. Big thanks to Rand Carthon. Appreciate you. Draft season never sleeps, and neither do these two. Our guy Rand teams up with CBS Sports draft guru Ryan Wilson on With the First Pick, breaking down prospects, front office thinking, and what picks you should really be paying attention to. Go ahead and listen now by scanning that QR code on your screen or listen.